Albert Breer on the strange Derek Carr Saints situation. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a few days since a Derek Carr video, so I am fiending. I'm having withdrawals. So today we're going to cover that. Albert Breer with Sports Illustrated is pretty tuned in. He is pretty locked in on at least as far as like information gathering. So, he's going to have a pretty good idea of what's going on. Now, this was filmed, I think he let this rip either a Saturday or Friday. So keep that in mind.
Carr not fully transparent about his injury. What are team's thoughts on quarterback 2 and quarterback 3 of the draft? Zarelli, the Derek Carr situation is definitely a strange one. The Saints weren't caught off guard. This is a 2-year-old injury that he has with his shoulder. And
all right, so two things can be true in this situation with the Derek Carr injury. So I've had a lot of people ask me this as well. The shoulder injury that Albert is talking about is the one that Carr hurt in Green Bay. Okay, so he hurts his AC joint. We all remember he misses half of a game, whatever. He comes back the next week. He's not fully healthy, whatever. All right, that is the injury. So the Saints can know of the injury, but the severity of it and this idea that it could require surgery and thus could keep him out of the entire season in 2025, that is the part that the Saints did not know. Okay? That's the part that has blindsided everybody. The idea that like, oh, well, yeah, of course he's been dealing with it. Of course he's had a shoulder injury. Remember? It's like, well, if that's the case, if this is a 2-year-old injury, why the hell did he not get this fixed last year when he didn't play the last 2 months of the season? Or if he was trying to play, why didn't he get this done day one of the offseason? Why wait until right now? And don't forget, he still hasn't got it fixed. So we've heard about this, but there still is nothing, okay? I'm not saying that Derek does not have shoulder issues. He's played in the NFL for, over a decade. I'm sure he has shoulder issues. I've got shoulder issues, okay? If I sleep wrong, I got shoulder issues. My pushback is I don't think he needs surgery. And my pushback is if he got traded to the Steelers tomorrow, I think he's the week 1 starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the fact that, or the fact that he could be the week 1 starter for the Steelers or out for the year because of shoulder surgery with the Saints, that is the problem that I'm having, is that those don't connect, right? The injury severity should not be dictated by what uniform you are wearing.
And the question of whether or not he needs surgery, I think there's some skepticism in the Saints organization. If you want to roll back the clock and look at how all this went, you can go back to Kellen Moore's opening press conference where I think support for Derek Carr was there, but it might not have been to the level that Derek Carr would have liked, where he declares Derek Carr the starter. Carr went and looked for a raise. Then there was some question of whether or not he was going to be traded. Did he put in a trade request ahead of the start of the league year? Then the Saints executed the conversion.
There's jump cuts like crazy.
Converting his base salary into a signing bonus, which basically locked him in with the team. They did that, as is their right in the contract, unilaterally. They didn't really work with him on it. So there's been a lot of moving pieces in this saga, and it's clearly not over yet. So we'll see what happens. But obviously this puts the Saints in a weird position at quarterback. They've got Spencer Rattler on the roster and not a whole lot else.
Puts them in a horrible position. Puts them in a horrific position. I mean, that is no doubt. You know what I mean? Like, that part is zero question, because Saints restructured. Last time we heard from Carr, we covered it on YouTube, where he's talking about, he'll do what he can to help the team if that's a restructure, blah, blah, blah. And during that video, it's crazy how long ago that was. I would implore you to go back and watch that. And we actually might do a re-react to that video. That'd be kind of crazy. Re-reactception. Because when we watched that video, we even said, the way he's talking does not sound like a guy who's coming back next year as the franchise quarterback, which is what his contract says. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Derek Carr was not re-signed. He wasn't extended. Like this was all just happening. He had a 4-year deal. Whether he restructures or he has a 4-year deal. So when the season ended last year, as far as he knows, and as far as I know, and as far as the front office knows, Derek Carr is the starting quarterback in 2025. Like there's no question marks. There's no like, will he be on the team? Will he not be on the team? What do we do? That's all. The question mark was, how do we pay him? The question mark was, how do we deal with this, with the bonus? How do we deal with the cap compliance? Like, that's the question. But at no point was it, well, Derek might not be available to play. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean it might not be available to play? So now it's 4 days before the draft, but then this information comes out 10 days before the draft that if you read between the lines, the headline should be Derek Carr will not play for the Saints in 2025. He has drawn the line in the sand. Whether he gets shoulder surgery, whatever happens, he ain't playing for the Saints. He ain't going to be on the Saints sideline. He ain't going to be mentoring whoever. He is not going to be there. He is not going to be in the building. He is not going to be on Airline Drive. Okay? Well, that's bad news for the Saints because the Saints owe him a blank amount of money. And the Saints have guaranteed blank amount of his contract. So now if you're the Saints, you're looking around like, well, we basically are forced into finding a trade partner for this guy where we still have to eat the contract. We still get the worst of it, but at least we trade him. Or our highest paid player on the team is going to be sitting in Fresno playing Fortnite and reviewing Rolls Royces. Neither of those situations is sweet. So the Saints are now in a very tricky situation because of this.
So do they get in the Kirk Cousins mix? Do they take a swing on Aaron Rodgers? I don't think they're going to panic at quarterback, but one quarterback they've done a lot of work on, I mentioned this in the Breer Report the other day, was Jackson Dart. As for where teams are at with quarterback 2 and quarterback 3, I'd say there's a big range of outcomes here. There's a big range of outcomes here where I think Shedeur could go 3rd. I think he could go 33rd. I think Jackson Dart could go 9th. I think Jackson Dart could go in the 2nd round. I think Tyler Shuck could be the second quarterback to go. So while
I've talked about this. This is crazy. Like I am but a prognosticator sitting in a studio with no information from the NFL. Albert Breer, Todd McShay, Adam Schefter, they've got these guys on speed dial. They are getting information from scouts, GMs, agents, players, coaches, analysts. They are getting as much information as possible. Their job is literally to get information. So when I say, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd take a look at Kyle McCord. It's like, I mean, that's just my own personal thought. When Albert Breer is saying, yeah, 50% of the league is split on Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders. Oh, but by the way, I think Tyler Shuck's the second quarterback off the board. That is worth noting, not because Albert Breer is breaking down game tape, but because Albert Breer is group chatting with legitimate NFL executives. So if there is legitimate NFL rumor that Shedeur Sanders could go 3rd overall or 33rd, and Jackson Dart could go 9th or 2nd round, and Tyler Shuck could go 2nd, or could be the second quarterback off the board, and that Jalen Milroe could also be a first rounder. Those moving pieces of quarterbacks is crazy. Crazy. I mean, Shedeur Sanders could be the 3rd overall pick, or he could be the 4th quarterback off the board. What? How insane is that? It could go Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, Tyler Shuck, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart. That could happen. We are in that world where who knows? And you know what's kind of crazy? I'm not fully sold Cam Ward is that much better than the rest of this class. But he's just kind of locked into the 1st overall pick. I don't know how much better he is than whoever you think is the 2nd best quarterback in this quarterback class.
Feels like maybe in the public sphere, there's been this consensus that it's, Ward 1, Sanders 2, Jackson Dart 3. And then, we'll see after that. I don't think I don't think that there's an overwhelming consensus of that when it comes to how NFL teams look at this. I think there are a lot of different answers. If you asked a lot of different teams who's the second best quarterback and third best quarterback in this draft, which I think is going to add to the fun of next Thursday and Friday and seeing where all these guys go.
I mean, yeah, I agree with like the fun part, because when we're sitting there on draft night, I at this point, I believe that Ward's going to go 1, and then we're going to see the quarterback slide, and then there's going to be a rush around 20, 21, 32, 30, like around that world of teams taking quarterbacks. I think 20, 21, I think you're going to see a trade up around Pittsburgh, and then you're going to see Pittsburgh take a quarterback, and that'll probably be Shedeur and Jackson Dart, some combination. But then the question is, does a team trade back into the first to get Jalen Milroe or Tyler Shuck or whoever they like? All right. Or does Pittsburgh, let's just say, take Milroe, and all of a sudden Jackson Dart's hanging around, and then now you've got teams trading back in to get Jackson Dart. So I think from 20 to 32, we could see like 4 quarterbacks go, in my opinion. But we're sitting there on Thursday night, and it would not shock me if the Giants said, with the 3rd overall pick, we're taking Shedeur Sanders. And then all of a sudden it's like, the hell do we do now? What do we do now? There's word on the street. So this is from Todd McShay. Word on the street with McShay is that the Giants front office is split on Sanders. And what's kind of surprising is the side that wants to take Sanders is the scouting department and the player personnel group, which is not the side you would think. The side that doesn't want to take Sanders, this is all just Todd McShay's whatever, is Brian Daboll and the coaching side, which kind of makes sense because Daboll knows he's on the hot seat. And Daboll knows, by the way, I had a dream last night. This is why I'm on a different level. I had a dream last night that Brian Daboll was fired as head coach of the Giants, or stepped down or resigned, or however it happened. But it happened like right before the draft. And I remember my first thought was, he's out because he doesn't want to take Shedeur. And I remember rushing to bet Shedeur 3rd overall. I'm dreaming about this, ladies and gentlemen. But it makes sense back in reality. It makes sense for Daboll to not want to draft Shedeur because Daboll's thinking, I got to save my job. I've got Russell Wilson at quarterback. We're cool. Draft me the best player available. Draft me Abdul Carter. Draft me whoever. Don't draft me a developmental 3rd-string quarterback. I need to save my job. I need to get better here. So it makes sense where Daboll would not want to draft him. I do find it interesting that the scouting department is seemingly high on Sanders enough to take him 3rd overall because their job is to kind of unbiased, like just kind of grade out these players and just kind of decide like who is the actual best player. And I mean, the Giants scouting department is far from perfect, but the fact that they're like, no, he's good enough. The grade is high enough. Take him 3rd overall. That does say something, I think. And for what it's worth, word on the street is the Giants ownership group is staying out of the pick, which is it true? Is it not true? Who the hell knows? But okay. Draft week, a lot happening. I can't wait for Thursday night. I'll be live streaming the entire first round of the draft on my YouTube channel, Twitch, and Twitter. So any of those mediums, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. If you're watching on Thursday night, I'll be live. Watch it with the face of the franchise. Okay, I will see you in the next video.